You know, most of the teas I drink are really mild flavors, right? Like, I don't like the big, stark bitterness. Of course, I can't drink black tea in general because of caffeine. But I also tend to not go for the big fanciful fruit. The fanciful fruit teas. You know the kind. But I do like a good spiced one. This is called Bengal. I don't remember what else it is. I know it's got cinnamon in it. But the funny thing is, one of the things I like to do is I like to just sit here and smell for a bit, you know? Before I actually drink, before I imbibe, just taking the aroma for a minute. It's a good way to relax, which I used to have a way of doing way back in the day. This would have been, I think this would have been a high school? I was living at the same place when I went to high school and college, so I'll admit the years blend a little bit for me. But back in the day, me and my friend Rob used to relax by going and playing our favorite MMO, Diablo 2. Now, some of you probably immediately understand what I mean by that, but for those of you who don't, the concept of an MMO, at least for me and my friends, has always been this is the persistent game that we go play with our friends. You know, it's the game that we keep playing with our friends. And yes, by that definition, quite a few games would qualify. But that's the point. The MMO slot usually has at least one game in it, and we just kind of always have something rotating in and out of there. Obviously, I don't really have contact with Rob anymore. I lost contact with him after college. But me and Pax, for example, who I also met at about this point in time, we've had at least one game in the MMO slot pretty much for the entirety of the last 24 years. As of this exact moment, it's Guild Wars 2, if you're wondering. Although we're pretty close to being caught up on that as well. That's the other thing, you get caught up on it too. But anyways. So we used to go play D2, just as our MMO. Just, let's go work. I want to go work on my sorceress for a little bit. Or I want to try a new build with this new character. Or I just feel like seeing Act 1 again. I know I talked a bit about D2 yesterday, so forgive me. But D2 was a game I replayed often but finished rarely. It was very rare that I would actually get a character all the way to and through the end of Act 5, and then would go ahead and start the next difficulty. I have done it, of course, but usually I'd be like, nah, I'm good. Right around Act 2. Occasionally I would push through Act 3, but definitely by the time I hit Act 5, I would usually have put the game down and be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. We're good. Because of what we were talking about yesterday. For spoilers on what I was talking about yesterday, see the video from yesterday. But I always feel weird, like as a streamer and a YouTuber. You have to not assume everyone watches everything you put out, but you also kind of have to assume that at least a few people have. You have to hit that sweet spot between repeating yourself and not repeating yourself too often. It's really frustrating, let me tell you. Anyways, so I have a bit of history of this game, but as I mentioned yesterday, I've almost never played this game single player. I mean, why would I? I had friends, quite a few friends actually, that I would play it with, and I just had no interest in playing D2 as a single player game. Just kind of funny to think about in hindsight. I suppose I should mention two other things really quick, because there were specific comments from viewers I wanted to address. So first of all, someone asked if this would be a lore run series. So, really quick, super abbreviated version. There's capital L lore run, and there's lowercase l lore run. Every stream I do is a lowercase l lore run. We always talk about behind the scenes. We always talk about game design. We always talk about the lore, right? The same mentality and approach goes into every stream I do. That's the norm. However, capital L lore runs involve a whole lot of additional effort and work on my part. I usually spend a fairly substantial amount of research and time and cross-referencing and checking myself and making sure I have the right info and taking notes and making sure those notes are easily parsable in order to be able to share stuff during a capital L lore run. As I've actually mentioned before, at this point in time, historically speaking, we're kind of done with capital L lore runs because we've kind of done a capital L lore run on everything we can. You know, finite resource, right? We emptied the mine. There's no more gold here. So that's done and been done. It has been done for, honestly, at this point, probably about 4 or so years, something like that. It is one of the reasons why, one of several, reasons why, way back in the day, and I'd have to look up, I think it's about 6 years ago now, I started trying to transition into doing reviews like we do now with the pluses and minuses system, instead of focusing entirely on lore runs, because I knew that was always going to be a finite well. But reviews, that we're never running out. We're never running out of games to review. Actually, my mother, Lore Mom, has actually commented several times about how she is continuously surprised at how many different games there are out there. Because she'll ask me, "Hey, what game are you streaming today?" And I'll tell her, and she's like, "I've never even heard of that. I've never even heard of a game like that. Like, I've never heard of that genre." And I'm like, yeah, there's a couple. The other thing I wanted to mention is, it's not so much as a mention, it's more of an apology. Diablo 1 didn't score very well. Now, I knew it wasn't going to. Actually, it may or may not surprise you that despite getting a negative 15 on the golden number, which is bad, that's not as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. There were some good, there was some good design, there was some good stuff, the story axis was net positive, etc., etc. So, it actually turned out better than I thought it would. But I wanted to apologize for anybody, because, well, I don't know how to explain this. So I want to say this very, very clearly. I don't apologize for my opinion or the review, because that would be a lie, and I'm not a very good liar. So I can't apologize for giving negatives that I mean, right? But I can apologize because the thing is, I don't want people to think that I'm bashing them. I don't want you to think that there's something wrong with you. I don't want you to have to get defensive. We actually talked about this yesterday. I don't want anybody to think that I am saying that you're wrong or you're dumb or you're an idiot for liking Diablo 1, because I'm not. I got a whole speech about this yesterday. A lot of things happened yesterday. So I just wanted to get that out there in a format that I think more people would see. And I suppose that boils down to my question, because apparently the only way to get people to comment on these is to ask a question, because I noticed nobody commented on the Diablo 1 video. So we're going to ask a question in this one. We'll see if anybody answers here. How many times have you personally gotten defensive because someone decided to speak negatively about something you liked? You can name a specific example. Maybe you could name just a general granular response to this. Maybe it's something you still have issues with. Maybe it's something that you dealt with years ago. I still have issues with this from time to time. I'm getting a lot better at it because I've gotten a lot of practice at it. I can't tell you how many times someone will walk up to my face and say, "Yeah, I can't stand Zelda games," for example. And I'm just like, "Oh, okay. I hate Final Fantasy VI. All right. Yeah, I think the game is crap," and it just going down the list. And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm getting there. I'm getting better. There's still that automatic reaction, though, right? Of, okay. Because obviously something's wrong with me for liking the thing that they hate, right? You get it. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling, and we're going to play D2 today. This should be interesting. Real quick, I knew D1 was going to score badly. I know D3 is going to score extremely well. I have no idea how D2 is going to fare. So we'll see.